Hi, welcome to my channel. For today's Valentine's special, I'm going to be redesigning Cupid and Valentine. So, starting off with my mood board for Cupid, I want to take inspiration from both the ancient Greek Cupid and also the more modern cherubic interpretation of him. And style-wise, I wanted to take inspiration from early Valentine's cards and 1920s style, since I feel like Art Nouveau is a very romantic style. Starting off with her body type, I wanted her to be very short and small and chubby in reference to the modern interpretation of Cupid. And along with each of my little thumbnail sketches, I also wanted to try out different wing shapes for her. So my first design has these very big bird-like wings, and a short but fluffy drop waist dress with lace on her arms and legs, classic looking boots with spats, and a heart-shaped ponytail in the back with an arrow that goes through her hair. For the next look, I wanted to go more Art Nouveau inspired, and keeping her bone wings from G1, have her wear a off-the-shoulder dress that has a drippy cut to the hem and a heart-shaped sweetheart neckline, as well as a Valentine's crown with a feather sticking out of the side. I also had the idea for her to have matching bow and arrow earrings on each ear. For the third look, I wanted to do some more cherubic angel wings and take inspiration from more modern lovecore, so I gave her a heart-shaped curls with a bunch of pins in her hair with heart-shaped glasses and earrings to match, a big baggy sweater, and formal wear with lacy Valentine patches on the knees and bow and arrow heels on her boots. For the fourth look, I wanted to go for a more ancient Greece-inspired hairstyle, and to incorporate the bone aspect into more of her design beyond just wings. So I have her having some vertebra-like heart shapes on her neck, and giving her a big clear plastic messenger bag to hold her bow and arrow in, with a flowy Greek dress underneath, and a big bow sash on her waist. For the fifth look, I took inspiration mostly from vintage Valentine cards, and gave her some very big bony wings, with a fitted but frilly dress and textured fabric roses at the top. I also had the idea to give her a dove ring and chunky heart-shaped heels with a vase of roses as the heel. For the final look, putting everything together, I just chose my favorite aspects of each design and then incorporated them all together. So for her hair, I wanted to give her some Greek-inspired curly bangs, but have the main body of her hair have a lot of heart shapes to it, and big rose-like curls in her hair, while keeping that stereotypically flapper's headband with a Valentine card as the centerpiece. I also wanted to keep the bow and arrow earrings and incorporate more of that bone work into her neck area of her design. I decided to give her a big rose as a focal point on one of her shoulders, and have a big glittery heart as the center part of her shirt/corset, with a long flowy pattern drop waist dress underneath, and a big red bow to tie it all together. I also wanted to keep her miniature crossbow that she keeps on her hand from G1, and I wanted to incorporate conversation hearts into her design, as well as a bouquet of roses for her heel, and a chocolate chip strawberry earring to add in some more symbology of Valentine's Day. I debated on giving her skirt a more cake-like shape, but decided to keep it drop waist instead in reference to 1920s. And for her face up, I'm sketching out some ideas for makeup where I want her to have heart-shaped pupils and keep her classic little heart lipstick, and also incorporate hearts into her eyeshadow and eyebrows as well. For her color palette, I decided to go with warm coral pinks, reds, pastel yellows, and golds, and I wanted her dress to have a gradient pattern. So, moving on to her flats, I had the idea for her skin to resemble marble, since I specifically wanted her lace gradient patterns to go up to where her arms are, since in C.A, City of Frights, they make reference to Cupid as being the original inspiration for the in-universe version of Venus de Milo. So I wanted her gradient patterns to mimic the cutoff point of where the arms on the statue are missing, and incorporate some of those marbly veins into the white parts of her skin. For her face up, I decided to give her hazel eyes and experiment with the makeup a bit by giving her colored mascara with very dramatic eyelashes, and swirling eyeshadow that mimics the conversation heart buttons on her shoes. I also wanted the lace patterns on her arms and legs to be lacy Valentine hearts with a net-like pattern around them, similar to her G1 design, and I decided to do this digitally, and as a result, Cupid's total redesign time was 4 hours, 18 minutes, and 35 seconds, making this the second longest redesign of all my videos so far, simply because I wanted to do a lot of patterns and digital work for this design, and I typically do line work traditionally, so it doesn't factor into the time counts, but a large portion of the line art was done digitally this time. For her skirt, I wanted it to be a gradient pattern of pink to black, with the same lacy conversation hearts that are on her arms, with a net mesh-like background on the pattern, but I also wanted the border ones to have some bone and heart ribcage details on them to bring that bloody, gory Valentine look into it. I also wanted to incorporate roses into her design as they represent love and Valentine's Day, so I gave her a belt of roses to hold up her big red bow, a bouquet of roses as object heels for her shoes, and the large rose on her shoulder attaching to her dress via rose thorn straps. I wanted to do something a little different with her pose and have her be in a classic flying Cupid pose instead of just standing there, and I also thought that it showed off the way the dress flows very nicely. I wanted her wings to be very bony and sharp and a little spooky looking, but still have that very fluffy, cherubic sort of atmosphere influence to them, and I'm really happy with how the overall shape and silhouette of them turned out. Just finishing up the background here using a picture of the sky with a heart-shaped cloud in it, and adding some finishing detail sparkles, adjusting the layers, and now it is time for the reveal. So here's Cupid's final redesign. I really like how the colors came together, and I think that adding a little bit of orange to her palette really helped tie everything together. But I will say admittedly, I'm a little bit less happy with this design. I feel like I should have made the skirt a little bit shorter, since given the pose that she's in, it makes it look a lot longer than I actually meant it to. Moving on to the comparisons between Generation 1, Ever After High, Generation 3, and my redesign, I really do think that G1 Cupid is definitely eating my redesign up. I do try to treat these generally like I'm less redesigning a character and more designing a character from scratch, of course accounting for the influence that having grown up with the brand has on my own style. But I have to say I really do prefer Generation 1, and I wish my redesign had incorporated more black into her palette and more gothic elements in general. But I'm still fairly happy with it as an independent piece. I'm just not as satisfied with her when compared to other generations as I am typically. But I do like how angelic she turned out, and I feel like her design does read like very romantic as I was intending it to. I still think it's a cute outfit on her, but I don't think it's quite fitting for her main look. Maybe I could see it being used as a Dawn of the Dance style prom dress fit, but be sure to let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. But now it's time to move on to Valentine's redesign. For his mood board, I wanted to lean really heavily into stereotypically goth, rich, luxe vampire fashion. And the driving force behind this was Lestat from Interview with the Vampire, specifically his portrayal in the 1994 movie, as well as with some classic fashion pieces, both historical and modern. To incorporate the Valentine element into his theme, I wanted to incorporate hearts and roses and lace with a more gothic twist than with Cupid. And I also wanted to give nod to the Gerard Way inspired elements of his original design and incorporate a bit of Nosferatu influence as well. So for his body type, I wanted it to be very angular and thin and sharp as is typical for a villain character shaped design. And for the first design here, I'm just copying down what I did when I redesigned him in 2020, which was 6 years ago now. Ouch. So he has long swoopy bangs, a blazer that has a heart-shaped collar and a heart-shaped train, with lace details at the cuffs and hems, ripped skinny jeans with some bloody pockets, and some heart-shaped combat boots that go up to his knee. Moving on to the second design, I wanted it to be very heavily inspired by Lestat, long flowing hair with some heart-shaped curls at the top, and this very dramatically puffed out petticoat with bat wing shaped cuffs at the edge of the sleeves. Also had to of course keep the cravat and add in some Nosferatu style closures on the blazer. I gave him some baggy pants with heart-shaped cutout knee patches and some combat boots with buckles. For the third look, I was very inspired by 90s and 2000s alt fashion with swoopy bangs, bitchy little sunglasses, and bell-bottom ripped jeans. But to give the more vampy elements a chance to shine, I also wanted to include this really dramatic collar on the blazer that goes up around his neck and also sticks out to the side. I also wanted to give him a very large bow at his neck, since that has a visual history with historically gay-coded characters, as well as being a nice little touch since he is a vampire to draw attention to the neck there. For the fourth look, I went back to Lestat again and gave him this very dramatic poet shirt with a vampy collar, a big flower, lots of lace and button details throughout. I also had the idea to give him some red gloves, tying into the idea of blood on his hands as the motif of vampires. I gave him some high-waisted tight pants with coffin-shaped pockets and big chunky goth black boots with flat back wing-shaped buckles and heart-shaped cutouts of the platform. And then for the final look, I went more Nosferatu with a big dramatic trench coat, gloves, slanted belt, and a tight corset over baggy jeans that go down to a tight-fitting pair of equestrian boots with rose details at the heel, finished off with a red necktie at the top. And for the final look, I take my favorite elements of each of my thumbnail sketches and put them all together. I really loved the third design particularly, and I almost had trouble incorporating other aspects of my other redesigned thumbnail sketches since I was like, number 3 is just perfect. So that was definitely the primary guiding influence when selecting things to combine. However, I did decide to make his hair longer and make the bangs swoopier while giving him a curly shoulder-length style. I also incorporated the more dramatic collar shape from look 4 and decided to add in some gold details around his outfit, as well as embroidery on the blazer collar and Valentine hearts at the cuffs of his jacket. I also drew the coat here longer than I meant it to, so it does get reduced down and simplified in the final design. Specifically, I also had the idea for a little detail of him having his coffin-shaped pockets being box pleated, since, you know, coffin box. And it was also definitely hard for me to move away from Valentine's design of the very tall knee-high boots and have them be covered by the flared jeans. But the vision for the pants was to have them be encrusted with gems in a way that make the pants look bloody, yet rich and fabulous at the same time. And I'm so excited to be moving on to shading the final piece now, because this is probably my absolute favorite piece in this series so far. For his color palette, I wanted to stick pretty heavily with red and black, using only minor gold for accents with green undertones so the black was a bit more rich. I really love how these shapes and the flow of this piece came out. Like, I love how stylized it looks. Another little detail I wanted to include were bite marks on his neck and big Nosferatu bat-like ears, which I love adding to any vampire design. I wanted his outfit to be super detailed since his original doll was an SDCC exclusive, and the amount that they were able to pull off back then was already incredibly intricate, so I can imagine them being able to do a lot more now. So I wanted his design to be rich but not overdone either, and I think this really struck a perfect balance of being richly detailed, but the forms are all pretty sleek and sharp still, and I feel like his character instantly reads as evil vampire twink. For the gems on his pants, I went with slightly different colors of red and magenta in order to differentiate the different shapes between marquee and rectangular. I also love all the little different pocket details on his outfit and the belt chain connecting to the Gerard-inspired bat belt. I also wanted to add little pulse details around the cuffs of his jacket. His jacket is patterned instead of being a solid color, featuring a bat lace from Raspberry Creek Fabrics that I edited to be red on black instead of black on red. For the background, I'm using a picture of my window all decorated for Valentine's Day since it seemed appropriate, and I was almost tempted to make it a solid colored background, but I decided to keep it how I usually do it. And now it is time for the reveal. And here he is. I am so happy with how he turned out. I love all the details. I love how my style looks here. I love how it looks compared to how my art style looked 6 years ago. I just think that this is, to me, a perfect elevation of his original design and character concept. Elevated is really the key word for me here. From the gems on his pants to all the little gold details throughout his outfit to how simple it feels, where I feel like my designs can often get over-designed and over-layered. I feel like this has a really good simplicity to it, and pushing past my uncomfortableness to cover up elements I think really helped this piece have the impact that it does to me. Moving on to the comparisons, my redesign ate up the original. Nothing else to say, that's just facts, he ate. But be sure to let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Kieran's total redesign time was 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 44 seconds, which is an about average time for me. So here's a little group shot of 4 of the characters completed in this redesign series. Of course, I have many more, which you can watch all on a playlist on my channel, but the lineup got too big to have them all in one frame, so we've got these 4. Overall, I'm really happy with how this project turned out, and happy Valentine's Day! If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I upload once a month over here on YouTube. And if you like my art, you can follow me on Instagram at mercreatureguy549, where I upload art at least 3 times a month, and sometimes more. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!